So again, I'm Dr. Amy. Okay, in the conjunction with the World Cancer Day on the 4th of February, Olivia actually has launched a series of activities, including seminars to promote cancer awareness across the region. And now we are honored to have Dr. Mark Dargan-Smith to share with us about the Pure Cell, the Elixir of Life. Okay, and let me talk about Dr. Mark. Okay, Dr. Mark is a researcher and formulator of Levier Laboratory under Healthcare Division, and he is lectured and practical in health clinics throughout the Malaysia, Thailand, China, United States, Canada, Central and South America, and over 30 years experience as an alternative healthcare practitioner of natural medicine. Okay, so before we start, so please share this broadcast, this live stream with your friends and family now, so everyone can listen to our Dr. Mark.
Okay. I just want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. I wish you a very happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. I understand 2021 is going to be a great one. So, but what it comes down to is all up to us. It's just like health. You know, it's self-empowerment. It's up to us to make it what it's going to be. Nobody's going to do it for us. But what I want to mention before we start talking tonight, getting into the heart of the matter, is I may mention many diseases, whether it be cancer, diabetes, or Alzheimer's, or diabetes, whatever it is. I want to make it very clear that this is a food supplement. It's not a drug, and we are not treating or we're not curing any disease. Disease is a frame of reference for us doctors and people to put certain conditions, certain symptoms into a category. You know, I used to hate it when my other doctors would say, are you ready to see that diabetes patient? You ready to see that cancer patient? I said, I want to know their name. I don't know. You know, you can't categorize someone like that because it doesn't have to always be with them. They're not always going to be that. So keep in mind, this is a food supplement. It has no side effects. It's not going to cure any disease. Now, what it can do is it can prevent many illnesses. And it also can even regress some illnesses as a food supplement, but that's because it activates your innate wisdom. That's the healing power that you have inside you to heal yourself, to regenerate yourself. I want to make that very clear. You know, so often people say, is this going to cure my cancer? Is this going to cure my diabetes? Blah, blah. I don't want to say blah, blah, but I mean, everybody's concerned who has that, but it's something that you have to be very clear with people. That's a food supplement, you know, and it's just going to regenerate your whole being in many different ways. That's what I want to explain tonight. So if you see those pictures, these are actual pictures from my associate, Dr. Ann Steele, who developed the product Cell Age Plus with me, along with some other people as well. These are actual pictures of heart stem cells. High-powered microscope, if you can see the three of them. The middle one, that looks like a whole universe. It looks like stars up in the sky. That's because we have millions of stem cells in our body, and they're alive. You can just see. So what I want to talk about is how this is the key. Everything about us, it's our cells. We've got trillions of cells. Every day, billions die, and we've got to regenerate, replace them. Some can go crazy and become, mutants, and they just become they get metastasis, and they get very disturbed and can be very toxic to the system and actually degenerate organs, glands, whatever it may be, skin, the brain, all of those. So what we have to do is we have to look at how we can prevent that. If it's happening, then what we can do to reverse it as much as possible. Now, I'd like to talk first about the immune system, so everybody has a clear idea why the cells are so important. The first line of defense to any pathogen or in our bodies, to any illness, is, one, the skin. Not only is it one of our biggest blocks and protectors, but it's also our largest eliminator. Our skin is the main eliminators in our body. The mucous membranes. When you get a cold, what happens? The mucus starts coming out. That's carrying the toxins, the virus, the bacteria, whatever it may be out of your system. Another one is the cilia. The cilia in our lungs, that protects our lungs from toxins that we can inhale or consume in some manner. Another one is stomach acid. Those are so important. Excuse me, there's trash. Nothing else. Stomach acids, those are important for digestion. If we don't have those, a real strong acid like 2.0, somebody has their microphone on. Yes. Well, no, I want to say we set up a whole time after this presentation to answer questions. So be sure and write them down and save them for I'm happy to answer. And I know you're all going to have a lot of questions. Stomach acid is for digestion, for one. We have to be able to get the nutrients and the vitamins out of the food that we take in order to be able to utilize it. Urine flow, of course, that's to get rid of toxins through the kidney. The kidney is one of our largest eliminators. Okay, now you look at the second line of defense. These are the macrophages, the monocytes, the neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, NK cells, natural killer cells. All those are second line. When we get it, sorry for that. Dr. Amy, can you help with that? Hello? Okay.
I can hear you, Dr. Mark.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise coming in from somebody's.
Yeah.
They could just turn those off. Would be.
Yeah. So I think please off your video or mute your mic, mute your computer.
Okay. All right. So we've got that as our second line of defense. Once the pathogen comes in and it activates those that we're to fight, those are a natural army. And then the third line of defense is what we develop once we had that illness. Those are CD4, CD, you probably heard of them with HIV because they use those to gauge how advanced it is. And the B lymphocyte cells. Now, these come mostly from the bone marrow. And why? The bone marrow is the heart of stem cells. Now, this is the core, the key of it all. You have to have the stem cells before you produce any of these other cells, any of the body, in fact, to protect yourself and then be able to fight disease. That's why stem cells are so essential. And I'll get into that a little more. We've got our bone marrow, and the bone marrow can produce the T cells and the B lymphocyte cells. Then those go up and the thymus handles those. Thymus is such an integral gland, and the spleen too. The spleen holds the lymphocytes, the red blood cells, all of our immune function. But the key I'm trying to express here is that initially it comes from the bone marrow, the majority of stem cells. That's why you might have heard in leukemia, they do bone marrow transplants. Why? Well, for one, because there's so many stem cells in there, and they still use the bone marrow for stem cell transplants. But there's other ways of doing it now which aren't so invasive. So you're looking at these immune system, the three lines of defense. The immune system functions: scavenge the dead, dying body cells. Okay, we got to get rid of the old ones, or they're just going to sit in there and create toxins. Destroy abnormal, cancerous cells. Our whole immune system will fight those. It recognizes they shouldn't be there. And protect from pathogens and foreign molecules. I mean, we're looking at parasites, bacteria, and viruses, which right now is a major, serious problem worldwide. And I don't think it's going to abate for some time. Even with the vaccines, it's still going to take them time to be able to reduce the numbers worldwide. Physical and chemical, if they help. Physical and chemical barriers, okay? The three lines, I mentioned that, the skin, the mucous membranes, and all of that. The non-specific resistance, the innate immunity, which you build up with your natural killer cells and your T cells and things of that nature. Your macrophages, your lymphocytes, all of those. Specific resistance, acquired immunity, are those you develop once you have that particular condition. And then it also develops the antibodies that you're going to need to be able to fight that and then also protect you from possibly being reinfected again or developing that condition, whether it's a virus or a serious bacteria, whatever that might be. Now, this is something that most people aren't aware of, but we're going to know more and more about it in the future. It's called the microbiome. That's who we are. It's our genetics, the environment, the diet, lifestyle, hormones, and industry, everything affecting our whole ecosystem. Well, we have an ecosystem inside us. You know, as I mentioned earlier, you've got the nose, mouth, lungs, stomach, colon for detox, sexual organs even. I mean, you look at that, the colon, you need to detox, there's no doubt about it. But most people don't realize is a big part of the digestion goes on in the intestines. Also, it is one of the integral parts of our whole immune system. And I'll get into why the probiotics and the prebiotics are so important with regards to the colon. And your sexual organs, I mean, there's even balancing the pH and H2O2 so they can kill microbes. So you've got this whole balance going on of good bacteria, or good guys, bad guys. And we have to keep that, our good guys energized. We have to keep them activated. We got to produce all these new cells so that they're ready to deal with whatever we may be subjected to. And of course, I mentioned the skin. All of those are essential for immune function. Biggest problem today is inflammation. Many people say inflammation is the #1 cause of all disease. Of course, there's other things that lead to inflammation, but it's directly related. This is metabolic dysfunction, and these lead increased free radicals. I think most of you, if not all of you, have heard of free radicals, that we have to build antioxidants and make antioxidants to fight these free radicals so they don't cause disease. Chronic inflammation, look at this, cancer, pulmonary disease, heart and lung diseases, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, where the body is basically attacking itself. That's the inflammation. And this is the biggest thing about COVID, is they're finding, well, we've known, but they're finally dealing with it, is that it's the inflammation as a result of the body reacting to that virus. It creates a chronic inflammation in the lungs, and it's causing serious problems. Not only the lungs, but we're looking at the heart, the brain, all the organs in the body that are being affected. Maybe 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months down the road, an individual who had COVID may have heart problems, heart degeneration, liver, kidney, even brain. I mean, there was a basketball player, 20-year-old guy in Florida, just a couple of weeks ago, who had had COVID 2 weeks before. He was just running down the court. All of a sudden, he falls flat on his face. You know, and there's a direct correlation with his heart. His heart just basically gave out. He survived, but now he cannot play basketball again, maybe the rest of his life, because of the degeneration that's happened 20 years ago. Neurological diseases, such as, look at Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, whatever it may be, arthritis. All these are inflammation. You know, the body basically overreacting, and that's what's happening with COVID. And even cancer, it's all metabolic. And this shows how it is. Metabolic syndrome, you've probably heard of it, 85% of illness today, 85%. You're looking at diabetes, the neurological disorders, heart disease, obesity, allergies, you know, all of those, cancer, are related to what's called metabolic syndrome, which is a result of hyperglycemia, the way the body handles sugars. Very simple in some respects, creating an overproduction of insulin, hyperinsulinemia, leading to lipogenesis, which is too much fat buildup, to syndrome X. Now, you don't have to be fat to develop syndrome X. There's many very thin people who have allergies, cancer, even heart diseases. So the inflammation factor is one of the keys there. But it's recently, there was this not a wonderful study. There was a study done that showed how sugar may be overconsumption of sugar may be the #1 cause of cancer in the world today. Very interesting. Why is that? because cancer cells have 10 to 50 times more insulin receptors than normal cells. Cancer cells also have mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria is what creates the ATP, the energy in your cells. All your energy for your whole body comes from your cells. That's called from the mitochondria. Well, they get all disrupted with too much sugar. It really throws off everything. And I won't get in too much into the biochemistry of it, but just let you know how bad sugar can be for you. This is some of the more technical reasons why. One, it reduces vitamin C uptake by the white blood cells, which right there, they're not going to be able to fight these pathogens. It decreases the phagocytic index. That's basically your level of having the good army to get rid of these invaders, is what it all comes down to. And other reasons as well. And yeah, with all the enzyme, it blocks a lot of enzymes in the body. You have to realize there's thousands of enzymes in the body. Every antioxidant is an enzyme. They all end in ASE, oxidase, superoxide dismutase, glutathione. All of those, they're actually antioxidants, but they're enzymes. And those are the force, they're like the spark of life in our body. And I'm going to show how our product helps you build those enzymes, build those antioxidants, build up that army to make it as strong as possible. And that's the main reason why Dr. Steele and I developed this product. One is to feed your existing stem cells, wake up the hibernating ones, which I'll get into in a second. So here is the key. You're looking at formation of free radicals, ionizing radiation. What people don't realize is there's so much depleted uranium on this planet. America, unfortunately, is one of the biggest sources of it, from bombs in Vietnam, bombs in Serbia, Iraq. Everywhere they bomb, they use these depleted uranium shells because they penetrate metal. And it leaves this uranium everywhere, which is a radiation. It's as toxic as can be, and it destroys cells. UV light. Keep in mind, UV light from the sun, you've got to have a little. I tell everybody, at least get 5 or 10 minutes a day. You can hide your face, but just get out there and get the pure vitamin D, because the vitamin D is essential for immune function. What they found in China recently was one of the most effective treatments for this COVID was to have zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D. 3 main ones. Of course, they had some other approaches. Very, very important for your overall health. You can get vitamin D in a supplement. It's just not as vital, but it's better than nothing. Okay, I mentioned mitochondria. These free radicals, the hydroxyl ions there, the OH, they attack the cell and they throw off your mitochondria. It's one of the reasons why people get so tired. They're not producing energy anymore. They're devastated. Inflammation, we talked about. Air pollution. It's everywhere. We can't get away from it. It's just the way of life today with air pollution. I mean, it's not so bad here. I was just read where Thailand has 17 cities that are under pollution alert right now. It's just the haze is so bad. Here in Malaysia, well, I'm sure some of you from all over the world, but we're fortunate here in that respect. Then you have, of course, the cigarettes. All of these create DNA damage. The DNA is what you are. Your DNA, RNA, those are the keys to who you are in your cells and how your cells are going to replicate, what they're going to do, how vital, functional they'll do. Now, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I want to say smoking is probably the #1 cause of cancer that I would say. And you know why? Not only does it create all these free radicals, it has over 100, some people say 300, cancer-causing chemicals in it. Imagine, every time you smoke a cigarette, unless you do the natural tobacco, but I've only seen that in America, you're getting probably at least 100 carcinogenic chemicals right into your body. It's the only thing I know, and it took us years to get them to do this in the tobacco industry, where they actually give you warning and will put pictures of how horrible it can be on the package. At least they're trying to warn people, but it's the worst thing you can do. Over my 40 years of practice, it almost invariably, people who smoke, consume a lot of cigarettes, are going to get some kind of cancer. It's been said that everybody has some cancer cells, and I believe that. I'm sure there's some research that shows that. It's just a matter of keeping them in control, on a regular basis, empowering your immune system, empowering your innate wisdom to be able to deal with them and to make healthy cells instead of all these crazy cells and cancer cells. So these are the fundamental imbalances. We're looking at environmental inputs, diet. Of course, we all know that's essential. Nutrition, exercise. People don't realize if they, I had a 90-year young doctor I used to work with, Dr. Cliff Roberts, and he says, if you rest, you rust. And it's true. I mean, I've noticed being so stagnant in this RMCO that I feel my joints starting to ache, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I've got to get out and exercise more. I've just got to do more. And it happens. If we sit, then everything gets stagnant. It's not circulating. It's not vitalizing. We're not circulating the blood. We're not getting our immune system activated. And that's what's so horrible about maybe just sitting in a hospital bed. There's just not enough exercise. Trauma. I've seen so many patients over the years who develop a cancer after some extreme trauma, maybe losing a spouse. It affects the emotions, and that's a key part of cancer as well, and other conditions. Immune and inflammatory imbalances, oxidative stress like free radicals, energy production, GI imbalances. We're going to talk about that. Very important, gastrointestinal. Detoxification. We got to detox. There's a great book called Detox or Die. And at least once a month, at least everybody should fast. Give your whole system a rest. We work it, I don't want to say work it to death, but we work it very, very hard. And it's very difficult for the body to regenerate when it's always trying to consume and process all the food or the drink or whatever we're eating or consuming. Hormonal and neurotransmitter imbalances, structural imbalance. For everybody for health, I recommend, and this is up to you, at least see a chiropractor, an osteopath, or a naturopath every once a month, 2 to 3 times a month, or every 3 months, whatever. Or do Tai Chi, do Qigong, do exercise, do yoga, do things that are going to align your whole being. Because we're like a tree, and the spine is the core. And all the nerves branch out from there to feed our system from the spinal cord that's in there. If it's twisted or out of place, it's going to put pressure on these nerves, so they're not going to circulate. They're not going to function. So many headaches I've been able to help just by somebody's neck. So many, probably 90% of them. And the other key, mind, body, spirit. They're all connected, and we have to take care of all of them. So what are stem cells? Well, stem cells are cells that can make more than cells, unlimited regeneration. They can become almost any other cell, every other cell, they can become. When you look at it, here's the bone marrow producing all these stem cells, and then you've got your immune system, you've got your liver, you've got your muscle tissue, everything there comes from stem cells. You can see here, when you're first born, you're all embryonic stem cells, every last one of them, and then it develops but the key here is one embryonic stem cell can create 60 trillion working cells. Very interesting. Now, 60 trillion, it's like the queen bee. I always try to use that analogy, is that the queen bee, they just feed her, and she produces, I don't know how many bees, just one queen bee, so it's like what an embryonic stem cell is, or any stem cell. You're going to get all these working. We've got to feed all of them. Now, here's the problem. Over time, you can see your first 4 months, all cells and feeds are stem cell. By the time you're 50, by the time you're a teenager, 1 in every 100,000 cells is a stem cell. 50, 1 in every million, is going to be a stem cell. So they're starting to just deplete, rapidly. We're not producing as many until you have the right nutrition to feed them. Old age, almost all stem cells go into Excuse me? Okay. All stem cells can go into hibernation. What do? Stem cells replace the old ones, repair those that are damaged, regenerate new ones, restore health overall. I don't want to say prevent aging because we're not going to prevent aging. We can just do it gracefully. That's the key, and regress degenerative disease. That is a key with stem cells. It's going to be more and more so in the future. So I just mentioned this. Stem cells in a bottle is basically what we're looking at with our product. Well, let's say stem cells in a packet, a sachet or a powder. So we were waking these dormant stem cells, and it's so much better than getting them from injections or having to go into the bone marrow and extract them or into the fat. All those are sources of stem cells. This is an all natural stem cell food and nourishment, all natural plant-based. There's no animal, no plant, no nada in there except pure herbs, okay, and grain. But it's all food. So the science behind it all, and this is Dr. Steele at Johns Hopkins, our associate I mentioned earlier, and co-developer of the product. She called me one day and said, hey, I want to create a stem cell product to feed these stem cells. I do so many heart transplants with stem cells. Her and Dr. Buchek, one of the foremost cardiovascular surgeons in America, from Johns Hopkins, Vanderbilt, and many other institutes, University of Washington. But they say, but you know what? They get these new stem cells and they just go into hibernation or die because they're not feeding them. We need to create a food that is going to feed these stem cells so they don't have to go into hibernation. Now, that's what the key is. There she is, wonderful, wonderful human being. And so what we created with Cell Age Plus, excuse me, is we did clinical studies, which I'll show you in a minute, to show how we could increase stem cells. It's proven, human clinical studies. We nourish and empower the existing working cells, awaken dormant or hibernating stem cells. I'm going to speak about that in just a second. Reduce inflammation in the body. Now, remember how I mentioned that inflammation is probably the key to all illness, whether it be cancer or diabetes. One prime example, for so many years, cholesterol was the thing, high cholesterol. If you have high cholesterol, you're going to die, so you have to take all these drugs. What they found was it's not so much the cholesterol. Of course, it is if it gets way out of line, but it's the inflammation. That's why you always need to check what's called CRP, C-reactive protein, and homocysteine, because it's the inflammation in the blood vessels that causes the blockage, and it leads to the destruction of the blood vessels themselves and getting weaker. So the key is inflammation there. Of course, cholesterol can be way too high, and you just need to change your diet to change that, and maybe thyroid and some other things. Empower the immune system. And the great thing about this product, it's 100% safe. Now, here's part of the study we did. We were able to show that in just 5 hours, pre and post blood, that we could increase stem cells in some people by up to 4 times. That's millions in 5 hours. Take their blood, they go out, eat lunch, come back 5 hours later, and we compare. And they took a double dose. But you can see here, there's 2 kinds of stem cells here. There's the mesenchymal and there's a hematopoietic. Mesenchymal basically are your skin, your tissue, your organs, everything pretty much physical. Hematopoietic is more the blood and the lymph and things of that nature, just to generalize, okay? So we did both to make sure that we could increase them both. And you could see from each person's baseline, everybody went up, everybody. And this was an average. This wasn't, just those who got it. This was everybody. So with that, we spent, probably 2 or 3 years developing the product to find what would work and what works together in a synergistic way. Synergistic way means basically that they enhance each other. Each one contributes to the function of the other, and they're compatible. Like most of our relationships hopefully are. if we had one, but anyway, you want compatibility. You want them to get along together. You want them to work well together and everything, reproduce well together, you know? So that's what the key is. So we world search to find what works and what doesn't. So what I like to do now is just get into the individual ingredients in Cell Age Plus, because I want to stop at about 9 so we can open up to questions. And hopefully you have a bunch. So I just want to briefly go over all of these ingredients. One is called organic young triticum sativum. This is organic young wheatgrass. It's a very special wheatgrass, not like any you buy off the shelf. There's only one company in the world I know who goes to these efforts to make it the best, and I'll explain why. But you can see all the benefits. Actually, there's several clinics in Mexico and in the United States I used to send patients to. They treat cancer with nothing but wheatgrass, everything from juice, oral to rectal implants, you know, and enemas with wheatgrass, and they get phenomenal results. It's well-known clinics and retreat centers in America and in Mexico. Maybe other places around the world, I don't know. But you see here, high in nutrients, every mineral known to humans is in wheatgrass. It's like your blood. Contains amino acids, it can reduce cholesterol, can kill cancer cells. Now, I'm not saying it cures cancer. I'm just saying it's known that wheatgrass can really be effective in giving the body the power to fight these cells, mutated cells. May alleviate inflammation, weight loss, detox your cells, enhance immunity, which is what we're talking about tonight, many other things that it benefits. Now, why is this one special? Several reasons. One, it's from America and not cheap, but planted in the fall, so the roots develop from our nutrition. That means they hand plant. Well, I think they're using machines these days because they're producing so many. I've known them for 40 years. But they plant these roots in the fall, okay? Then it goes all winter before you get the first sprouts coming up. So these roots have been active the whole time, so they're strong enough to bring in more nutrition. Then grown in 200 days of sunlight, you know, compared to wheatgrass juice, which is grown for about 10 days. So you can imagine how much more chlorophyll you're getting there. It's cut at 8 inches. You know, that's about that high. Most people will cut their wheat when it gets as high as it possibly can so they can get more, should I say, production, but less actual nutrient content. So the nutrient content is enhanced maybe 4 or 5 times. Well, no mold like in wheatgrass and no gluten, and it's organically grown and no GMO. Now, the thing about the GMO, if you're familiar with the genetically modified organisms from Monsanto and such, they have placed a border all around their fields to protect it as much as possible from GMO. And they test it on a regular basis to make sure it doesn't get infiltrated. The other thing is a chlorophycia, extract nucleic acids. Now, remember earlier I talked about how, and this is a chlorella extract, but very few companies in the world are capable of doing this. Taiwan, Japan, and I'm not sure where else. That's the only 2 I know of who have really high standards and are truly getting chlorella growth factor. They extract the nucleic acids, which I mentioned earlier, the RNA and the DNA, which you have to make your cells healthy and to boost your immune system. That's why this one is so incredible, because it is actually, and it's expensive, to feed your immune cells. You know, that's the whole key. We got to keep them fed. We got to keep them healthy, just like our bodies. Our cells are the same. You know, it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. We got to go down to the core first and get that mitochondria, ATP, energy going. And then we got to create new cells with all the right types of proteins. So not only that, but they showed, and one reason they called it growth factor, it increased your bowel flora, the beneficial flora in your colon, by up to 400%. There's hardly a probiotic or prebiotic on the planet, anything that I'm aware of, that can get that much effect. Now, when you look at all the benefits, stimulates growth, efficiency of the cell, modulates the immune system. Now, it's one thing I want to express here, and this is a problem, again, I mentioned with COVID. you can have an inactive or underactive immune system. Everybody's is active, you would just die. Underactive, or you can have a functional, balanced, or overactive. And then you get the inflammations and all those effects. So the immune system goes haywire, it starts attacking your own body, basically. And if it can't control it, then it just goes worse and worse and worse. So the great thing about our products, not a one of them is overstimulating to the immune system. They're all what we call modulators, which they help balance it. They'll feed the immune system and the white blood cells, the lymphocytes, whatever it may be, the NK cells, until it's not necessary to produce more and more. Let's keep them active. Let's keep them at their high populations sufficient to be able to deal with the condition, but don't overactivate them, don't overexcite them, which you got to watch a lot of mushrooms, because many types of mushrooms will do that. It overactivates the immune system, even the beta glucans and things like that, because it excites the cell to be more active. Liver protector, kidney, helps detoxify xenobiotics. What are xenobiotics? That's every chemical out there produced by man, which we know so many of them are carcinogenic. So many of them can lead to even possibly Alzheimer's and autism. They're showing a direct correlation right now with what they call it, Roundup. It's made by Monsanto. It's an herbicide, and it's on so many rice crops around the world. That and autism. I won't get into it right now, but there's a whole research study done by a doctor I know from MIT, and she's been studying it for 25 years. So anyway, quick recovery from exercise and disease, can lower blood sugar levels, combats damaging free radicals, so therefore it's anti-aging, enhances production of interferon. Those are essential for fighting many, many diseases. Accelerates, enhances repair of damaged tissue, helps with the increase of beneficial bacteria of the microbiome. Remember me talking about the microbiome? Well, it has its own flora. We'll call it flora rather than bacteria, because bacteria has such a bad rap. It's called beneficial flora that many of these ingredients all feed, and that is the key. I worked with a doctor from Switzerland, Dr. Rao. I hope I don't lose you. Said my connection's unstable. I may have to go in the other room. But he always said the key is the Peyer's patches in the colon, in the intestine. And those are cells that activate the immune system. And he said the key is in the whole GI tract. It's not so much outside, it's inside. So enhances RNA and DNA function. Strengthens and improves hair, skin, and nails. How am I doing on time? 12 minutes. Good. All right. This particular product, we call it APP, and it's a Rhiza sativa, which is rice, okay? But it's not any normal rice by any stretch of the imagination. It's a homily rice from northern part of Thailand. And the company I've worked with for 30 years now, we actually have, I think it's over 1,000. We started the Organic Farming Association in Thailand. And now we've got about 1,000 farmers under contract producing just this one organic rice, non-GMO, non-hybridized. It's an old ancient strain of rice. And the other thing is, you need to keep in mind, almost all grains, unfortunately, become rancid almost as soon as you harvest them. They start going rancid. I mean, turn them into a powder like wheat flour, and oh my God, they're rancid within days. Well, we've developed a process for stabilizing it so it doesn't go rancid for years, which is phenomenal. We may be the only company in the world doing that. And so we do a special process of just water to extract it, no heat, very, very little heat. And it's a proprietary process, being able to extract the product.
Yeah.
And so what we're looking at there is this particular formula is essential for forming all those enzymes in your body, for forming the antioxidants. You get the enzymes, you get energy, you get healing power. That's what it all comes down to. It's very simple, straightforward, how you can overcome these different conditions. Applications support body enzyme function, enhances circulatory system in so many ways, reduces inflammation, and improves respiratory function, cold, flu, pneumonia, viruses, asthma, allergies, many things like that. And that's just one more of the products. So fucoidan. I don't know how many of you heard of fucoidan. Fucoidan is an extract of ground algae made from a very, very special location, so we know it's pure. You can see all the benefits of fucoidan. It's great for down blood clotting. It can prevent the growth of cancer cells. Studies have proven that. Someone's got a lot of noise in the background, please. Antiviral, cold, anti-inflammatory, which I mentioned earlier, and you all hear the background noise. It sounds like a combination of a toilet flushing and a band playing. Anyway, neuroprotective. It protects the brain as well as the APP does. Assists digestion, a natural prebiotic for the microbiome. Now, keep in mind there's two types. There's a prebiotic and a probiotic. The prebiotics, which I'm going to get into more here shortly, are what feed the existing probiotics. You can take all the probiotics, acidophilus, bifidus in the world, but you have to keep taking them. But if you are feeding them with prebiotics, they're feeding the ones you have so that they can replicate. So that's one of the keys. You need both. You got to have both. Take an antibiotic. Oh my gosh, please take a probiotic so you can start balancing it right away. But a lot of these will do that. Immune modulating effects. They showed that fucoidan is an immune modulator. It's not an exciter, overexciter. Assist digestion, anti-aging, weight loss, metabolic syndrome, all those. Now, this is a product, and there's a Sesaplex and a Sesamin. We combine the two. These have tons of research, and one thing I'll say about this is when was SARS, H1N1. Malaysia, I know the doctor who developed the Sesamin, and Malaysia bought I don't know how many tons of this to fight the H1N1 when they found out about this doctor from Chiang Mai University and what he developed and the research he did to show it could knock out these viruses. But also it's phenomenal as an anti-cancer because it reduces inflammation. It's been shown to fight against H1N1. So it's a wonderful product. And it's a sesame extract. And we've got the research. Curcumin. You've probably heard of curcumin, turmeric. It's one of probably the best known anti-inflammatory that we can consume on a daily basis. And it's phenomenal product, herb. It boosts brain development and can help prevent and possibly even treat cancer. So study shows incredible benefit against depression and can help with all age-related chronic diseases. Now, it's an anti-inflammatory. It creates antioxidants in the body, and it works as an anti-inflammatory. So you're going to hear me keep saying anti-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory. It's like we're burning up or in inflammation, but inflammation basically is overactivated immune system on the most part. The body is attacking itself. Diabetes is a prime example. Okay, quercetin. I think many of you heard of quercetin. You can see all the different substances. There's so many that you get these flavonoids. The flavonoids are key for health. In fact, if you take vitamin C, be sure and take some flavonoids because it enhances the benefit of it and utilization of it. But it can fight free radicals, antioxidant, inflammation, reduce risk of cancer, prevent neurological diseases, relieve allergy symptoms, prevent infections, reduce risk of heart, lower high blood pressure. All of these have tons of research over the years to show how beneficial they are. Now, this is a great product, ingredient. Well, it's more than an ingredient. This is a product all to itself. And this is super berries. This company took these different berries. They found out which ones had the highest ORAC value, the highest ORAC values, and they were the most beneficial for health. And they put them together into a super berry combination formulation. you know, and you've got the, I can't see it here, but you've got 6 of the best: the raspberry, the cranberry, the blueberry, strawberry, and over there we've got the red grape. And red grape has what you probably a lot of you have heard has resveratrol in it, and that's where they get it these days. That's why maybe a little bit of wine now and then might not be so bad. And it has blackcurrant cranberries in it. Xylitol. Now we wanted to improve the flavor somewhat, so what we did is we added xylitol. Xylitol is a sweetener coming from birch tree or corn, and what it does, it doesn't raise blood sugar significantly like all the other sugars do and all the other sweeteners. So it doesn't spike blood sugar or insulin. We're talking about metabolic syndrome again, you know, hyperinsulinemia, leading to all the degenerative diseases. It starves the plaque producing bacteria in your mouth, which is phenomenal, you know, so you don't get as much plaque when you're consuming xylitol. Now, I'm not saying go out and start drinking, you know, taking teaspoons of it, but we put just enough in there as a flavor enhancer along with the berry formula. So it's a very, very palatable powder. And it feeds your friendly microbes in your digestive system, which is fantastic. It's like an oligosaccharide, they call it, for feeding the bifidus and the lactobacillus. Another one, and this is a phenomenal product, the Sun Fiber Prebiotic Guar Seed Fiber. Guar seed is such a great fiber. It's low calorie, it helps with bowel movements, completely gluten-free, which is great, not like wheat bran and some of the other fibers, and kosher and halal, low FODMAP, which basically means, just in very simple terms, it's not going to increase the glycemic index. So diabetics really benefit from this well. As you know, if you live here in Malaysia, diabetes is, Malaysia may be, I don't know, I have to research it more. I've heard it before. The highest incidence of diabetes per capita maybe in the world. I can't think they're number 1, but it is so high. I mean, it's just off the charts with regards to the number of people here in Malaysia, and it's around the world. Oh, there's millions and millions. And the one thing about diabetes, they may have a number, the world or the CDC and World Health Organization may have a number for diabetes worldwide. That's probably half of those with diabetes, because the other half aren't even diagnosed yet. You know, we had a employee who almost passed out at work, and we oh my gosh, what's wrong? So we took her to the hospital because she was very dizzy and had some blood work done. And her blood sugar was like 28. I mean, that's getting off the charts. She didn't even know she had diabetes. Didn't even know it. So, you know, that's why you can have so many people around the world with diabetes who don't even know they're diabetic yet. CNN said recently that maybe 1 out of every 5 children will be born with diabetes, and that was back in 2013. So it's a really serious situation. And the great thing about this particular fiber is it doesn't cause the gas, bloating, cramping, and diarrhea that many fibers can cause. Now, keep in mind, your body may adjust. I don't even call it detox. Let's call it an adjustment. When you take this product, because it is so powerful and it is so effective in so many levels, your body may have to adjust, you know, and what you may do is you may get a little diarrhea, you may get a little gas, you know, you may get a little heat in your body, whatever it may be. But those adjust over time. You just need to cut back a little bit if it's too uncomfortable, and then try the product a little longer, and then build back up. It's a, whoop, let me go back. It's a health satiety fiber, which means it does not block the gut like some fibers can do. It improves absorption of all other ingredients, and it's not a starch or a sugar-based fiber. It's a galactomannan. So these are some of the benefits: provides solid regularity with the colon and the bowels, reduces the glycemic index, helps reduce hunger, and promotes weight loss, which some people need, some people don't. I certainly don't, but it helps balance my appetite. Prebiotic fiber. This is the prebiotic, which means that you're feeding all those friendly flora in your gut, you know, the bifiduses and the lactobacilluses and all those guys. It increases nutrient absorption. Now, this is what I'm talking about with the good and the bad flora or bacteria. You've got things like bifidobacteria, Escherichia coli, lactobacilli. Those are all beneficial for the immune system and for nutrient intake and nutrient absorption. Then you got the bad guys, you know, there's so many, there's probably hundreds. Campylobacter, Enterococcus faecalis, Clostridium difficile. Here, there's a serious situation with salmonella. And a lot of people have salmonella and don't even know it, but that's another story. And the other ingredient we add to it is a wonderful protein. It's pea protein. It's a yellow pea protein, not just any protein. It's one of the best sources of quality protein. It contains all the essential amino acids, high quality aminos, provides the body with supply of protein for energy, easily digestible and fast absorption. It's a fiber, but your body absorbs this fiber. It's a absorbable fiber. Better taste, good for kidney and heart, allergy-free, does not contain any gluten, like many things do these days, especially wheat. I think everybody should avoid wheat actually, but that's just my practice. Promote appetite control, weight loss. So anyway, so we're looking at all these. You've seen, I've gone through the ingredients, and almost every one of them is anti-inflammatory. Interesting, right? And helps create antioxidants and can reduce these bad cells in the body, what's called bad guy cells in the body, and help the body fight them, which is the key. So, but why this particular Cell Age Plus? Well, we've got the proven effectiveness in scientific research. We've got human clinical studies. Very few products in the world have these kind of studies on a particular aspect of it. Proven safety. We did every kind of blood chemistry imaginable on these participants in the study to show that everything was benefiting, you know, their blood glucose, their liver enzymes, their minerals, their immune system, the red blood cells, white blood cells, blah, blah, blah. Everything had improvement or stayed the same. Nothing was compromised. So we knew it was safe. And of course it's safe because it's like eating food. You know, that's like saying, well, certain food isn't safe. We'll say that, like sugar, that we just talked about earlier. And so why don't other companies do these blood tests to show, you know, the benefit and the safety? Cost effective. It's so much cheaper than, you know, I think some of you probably know how expensive stem cell therapy can be these days, tens of thousands of dollars. And almost everybody I talk to, unless they go to the real experts in the world, within 1 or 2 weeks, they're back to normal. They don't have the energy that they got. It's like a good blood transfusion. But there are stem cells at work. You just have to know the people who really, really know what they're doing. True regeneration and reversal of disease. Okay, that can happen with our products. I don't say it will. It's what your body does with it when it absorbs it. And it's not an immune stimulant, but a builder, balancer, and modulator. Modulation, you know, very, very important. Anti-inflammatory and builds a healthy gut microbiome. Keep in mind, I'll say again, the healthy gut is the core of our immune system. And we've got to keep it healthy. Well, all right, how do you take it? Adults, it's recommended 2 to 4 sachets per day. And, you know, you can just take it under the tongue, which I know a lot of people just love the flavor of it. So they just put it under the tongue. I mix it in my smoothies in the morning. But 4 sachets a day for chronic or acute illness to start out with. They may have to cut back, you know, if they're adapting too quick, and you just have to work with them or yourself, whatever it may be. One before breakfast and before dinner. I really feel it's best before you eat. It can be 5, 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, but just so it gets into your system. Because one thing is, this product is so what we call bioavailable. Now, what bioavailable means is that it's almost like it's pre-digested. Not all of it is, but it's in that form so that when your body consumes it, it can absorb it very, very quick. So many people I talk to just take it under the tongue. Say, wow, you know, I felt that almost immediately, because sublingually is a very good place to absorb nutrients. B12 under the tongue, you know, you could fumes right away. I mean, okay, that's enough I'll say about that. For maintenance, maybe 2 sachets a day before breakfast. Children, 1 to 2 sachets per day. Start with 1 and just see how they do. We find most children, they really enjoy the flavor of it, and it balances their blood sugar. They don't get so hyperactive, and can improve brain function a lot. They're going to learn more. They're going to grow faster, stronger, all of that. So, as I mentioned, you can either take it under the tongue or possibly put it in any kind of drink. Try not drinking cold drinks, okay? Cold drinks suppress the immune system. People drink all this iced tea and drinks with meals, and it destroys your digestion. You know, it's I don't know if you should ever drink cold drinks, but if you put it in a drink and mix it together, try not to use milk. You know, milk causes too much mucus in the body, and many people are lactose intolerant these days. Like in wheat, they're gluten intolerant more and more and more because their immune systems are not functioning as well as they were. They're more compromised. Okay, so who can take cell age? Everybody. You know, you're talking about better quality and quantity of life. Now, I always say you could live to be 100, but if you're decrepit and bedridden, what's the use? You know, I certainly would want to be that way, but I feel I could probably live to be 120 and still be vital and active. So you want to have quality as well as quantity of life. It's not about living longer as much as it is enhancing the quality of your life right now, right? So happy and healthy, that's what everybody wants to be. Okay, so that's it. And if you have any happy, healthy questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Yes, I have 3 questions on my hand. So shall we proceed to the Q&A?
Yeah, let me get out of this. Well, that's okay. We'll just leave that on. All right.
All right. Question number 1. There's one customer at the age of 63 has been consuming Cell Age Plus for 4 months and 4 sachets a day. He asked why his sex life doesn't seem to improve.
Why her life doesn't seem to improve?
Sex life.
Or what life?
Sex.
X.
S-E-X.
Oh, sex life.
Yes.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
One of my specialties. You may it may be a hormonal imbalance. You probably need to check your hormones sometime, you know, all of them, your estrogens, your testosterone, your DHEA, and see if there's a hormonal imbalance there. That could be part of it. I can't say if maybe it's your, no, I won't say that. I won't go there. But it may not have that balancing on you yet. And that's what I would say first off is check your hormonal levels and make sure all of them are balanced, because it's in a thyroid. Oh, you got to check your thyroid. Most blood tests aren't accurate. They don't measure all parts of the thyroid. They just measure a couple of hormones. The thyroid produces many hormones and has many synergists and all of that. So you have to look at that overall thyroid function because it's directly related to your ovaries. Hopefully you don't have any pressure on your ovaries or anything serious like that happening, you know, or any cysts or whatever it may be. But I haven't really encountered that. Yeah, that's as much as I can say about that. That's what I'd recommend is just getting, you know, your hormones tested first and see if there's an imbalance there. And then they probably improved already if they are out of balance to some degree. And so unless you've had that done before, you're not going to know if there was an overall improvement in the balance of your hormones. And, you know, I can't get into relationship aspects. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but on a metabolic physical level, that's what I would do. I would recommend.
So shall he continue?
Yes, I will for everything. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
that you've been healthier than ever. I mean, I know so many people who were taking it, and some that became positive for COVID, and they didn't have any symptoms. You know, I mean, you're going to get exposed to it. There's no doubt about it. I don't think we can avoid COVID-19 anymore. It's out there, and it could be even more prolific, and a pandemic could even get worse. I don't know. Nobody can say right now. But those who I know have had no symptoms. So you're improving the overall condition of your life. Now, keep in mind, you're 63, I'm 69. And I know that we created a certain condition. My upbringing was terrible. I was raised by a doctor too, but he was drugs and steak and potatoes and junk food and all of that, you know. So my body got very, very deteriorated and degenerative and imbalanced for the first 22 years of my life. 20. Then I met some vegetarians at university, and that wasn't for me either, but it helped detoxify. And then I started doing other things. But keep in mind, it took you 63 years to get to the place you are. I don't want to say degeneration, but a certain stage of compromised function. It can take a while to build that back up. You know, this is not a drug, as I've always mentioned. This is something that builds your system, and that can take time. It's a food, it's not a stimulant. Some people say, well, it's quite a few people say, well, I didn't get a lot of energy from it when I first started taking it. Well, how do you know? You probably don't know what's going on inside your system. And it may be so gradual you may not be noticing it. But we know that it improves people's health overall.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mark. Okay, question number two. There is a there is a skin sensitive customer, sometimes even have pus. All right, doctor normally give her antibiotics and painkiller. Now she asks, will Cell H Plus help on her sensitive skin?
It's hives. Is that what you said it was? Hives? And
Sorry?
you said it was hives and outbreaks on the skin?
Okay, it doesn't say anything. The question is only sensitive skin, and even sometimes the past happen.
Well, I'm not sure why she's getting antibiotics for a skin condition like hives, unless it's a bacteria, you know, and then she should be getting antibiotics. But they would have to test that to make sure. If it's hives and skin outbreak and allergic reaction, then you need to check your liver, maybe detox the liver. It can help because it's an anti-inflammatory, and most conditions on the skin are an inflammation. And so it's going to help in that respect with inflammation. I would predict, and I would recommend it to take it and see the condition. Now, they're going to keep in mind at first it may get worse before it gets better. That's the law of natural healing, that can happen, unfortunately. But the skin is our body's largest eliminator. Okay, we eliminate toxins from our skin. It's the biggest. You know, I mean, there's our bowels and our urine and breathing and mucus and all of that. So when something comes out of the skin, it means there's toxins in your body usually. And that's like I said, it's a bacteria or something of that nature. And then if it's a bacteria or such, or a fungus, it may be a fungus, but I don't know why the doctor would treat a fungus with an antibiotic, because antibiotic treatments can actually lead to fungal infections such as candida, because they destroy all the good stuff. But anyway, as well as the bad stuff. So it it may come out initially while you're adapting. It's called adapting rather than detox. And I would just check and find out why it's an antibiotic, because you could have a chronic bacterial infection on your body. I don't know the specifics, so I couldn't say. I would just ask your doctor why antibiotic and why not things like, well, they don't know detox, most of them really, but um, hives, why not anti-inflammatories rather than antibiotics? Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, last question. Also skin sensitive. Okay, skin sensitive patient, but she has been suffering from skin rashes. I think we may show you some photos of her. She actually sent some photos for us, but it's very, now I don't know how to connect the photos to you, but we will show you later. Okay, she
Okay.
has been suffering from skin rashes with pus, okay, since young. And also last year, she started suffering sinus, hair loss, irregular menses, all happened within a year, which is last year. So for her blood test report, she has low in ferritin and high at this monocyte.
High in what?
Monocyte.
Okay. Well, there'd be a lot of other things I would look at. I would look at her liver enzymes. I would look at the polymorphic neutrals and the lymphocyte balance. And, since child, it just sounds like an inflammation of some sort. And so this could be very beneficial. And it's kind of similar to what I just said, in that one thing I would check right away is thyroid. And do the Barnes thyroid test. It's an underarm temperature test. You can read about it on the internet, BARNES thyroid test. Because many times, even doctors admit it, well, some do, that the thyroid tests are usually not that accurate. They're not that, they don't do enough of the thyroid, the TSH, the T3, 4, 7, TIA, thyroid uptake, everything of that nature to really see what is going on with the thyroid. And that can cost a lot of money to do all of those. And there's many other tests too. But one thing I would check is you very, very possibly have a low thyroid, because you're talking about every condition, skin conditions, ovarian problems. I think there's a couple of hair loss. I don't know if there's weight loss or not, but that can be another sign of thyroid, hypometabolic thyroid. So, and I'll say this, I practiced in America. I had an integrated medicine practice for, oh God, 40 years, 35 to 40 years. I don't even want to count. I hardly ever saw a truly balanced thyroid, especially in women. And I can give many reasons why. A lot of it's radiation. Microwave's the worst thing. God, if you have a microwave, unplug them. I mean, they're just one of the most horrific instruments ever created by human beings, because they give out radiation all the time. I'll tell you this interesting story. I'll make it quick. I was practicing with Dr. Robertson, the 90-year-old young osteopath. And we had a lady who worked with us, a nurse. And she was doing great. And then she started working part-time at a restaurant. And she started gaining weight. When we went, Betty, my God, what are you doing? You're eating all the leftover food there? She says, no, I don't eat a thing. Nothing's changed. I said, what do you do all day? Well, mostly I just take the food and put it into the microwave and take it out. She was getting zapped right in her thyroid. I said, well, where is it? She said, oh, it's about here. Day in and day out, getting it zapped by that microwave radiation. This is just a prime example of it all. She gained like 30 or 40 pounds in no time at all. So we stopped all that, and she lost the weight in no time. It's hardly any more evidence can prove that microwaves do that. And our human's health has gone like this since the development of microwave. Even putting it into water, supposedly, water heated in microwave can cause the cells to oscillate at the same frequency as a cancer cell. Isn't that interesting? I don't know how 100% bona fide that research was, but it was very interesting to read about it. And the other thing, very important, your microwave is even on when it's off, if it's plugged in. It is still emitting frequencies. We tested it. So I when I live somewhere, if I'm renting a place or in a hotel or whatever, I unplug it first thing I do when I walk in, because they're just horrific, the scourge of mankind. I can go more and on about it. I wrote a whole article about it. But so that's one thing I would look at. And of course, you too, I would look at hormone imbalance and liver. Get the liver enzymes done, because that can be a key factor. And check your EFR. for your kidneys to make sure they're functioning. They should do a total blood test. This is the only thing I disagree with most doctors about. Because I do things holistically. I wrote the book on blood chemistry evaluation, not the book, one of the books. And it shows how everything is correlated and works together. And when you use these out of range markers, then you're not seeing the picture before it gets out of range, and you have to correlate all these factors together. I mean, doctors know this. It's just, I don't know if it's expense or it's just whatever. I guess they don't feel it's important. Some do. We do. And then you can determine what the true source or etiology of the problem is. And that's one of the keys. You just got to get enough blood work done to really fully evaluate it. Okay? And detox liver, maybe. Are you there, Dr.
Okay.
One other thing
Mark.
I want to say about that is, I'm sure they've done it before, but if you have pus-filled boils or blisters, or whatever they are on your skin, rashes, of course you should always have a pathology done to determine if it's a bacteria or fungus or something like that. Then that's a whole other story, and you may be carried it for your whole life. But that's the other wrap up on that. Okay.
Okay. What about if someone having liver cirrhosis? Can Cell H Plus help?
I really, really feel it can. In fact, this is one condition where it could be extremely valuable, because cirrhosis is basically too many toxins, either drinking too much or whatever it may be. I mean, they have to stop drinking if that's the case, or stop cigarettes, because cigarettes are nicotine is fat soluble, and it'll go straight to the liver to be processed. And that's why so many people get liver cancer who actually smoke. But alcohol and cigarettes, got to get off. That's one of the keys. Your cirrhosis may never improve. It's an inflammation. It's a degeneration, and that's why this product, everything I've been saying, is regenerate, lower the inflammation, and you're going to help your liver significantly. And many of these herbs in this product are very, very beneficial for that.
Okay. And also, can Cell H Plus help on arthritis, joint pain?
Yeah, I that's what I was just talking about in the whole presentation. Is joint pain and arthritis is basically inflammation. I mean, I hate to harp on it, but I love to harp on it, because that's what it's all about. With arthritis, the body is basically attacking itself in many conditions. I mean, there's many causes for arthritis, but all of them are inflammation in the joints. And so the body's attacking itself. Many times the immune system is trying to get rid of something there. Depending on where it is and what kind of arthritis, there's many types of arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, many things. And so, but if it's pain and inflammation, it can really help with that. But also, you got to move. You just can't sit around and let your body stagnate, because when it stagnates, it's going to get congested.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So conclusion is, for arthritis, for joint pain, is all caused by inflammation. So we encourage them to try on this Cell H Plus, right?
Yes, osteoarthritis too. That can be a little different, and that's bone, and it may be too much sugar. God, you got to get off of sugar. That's one of the keys, because sugar takes all the beneficial minerals out of the body. Sugar is empty. Okay, it wants to grab onto the minerals. It's a chelating factor, and what it does, it just pulls them right out of the body. The minerals like the magnesiums, the potassiums, the sodiums, even the borons, selenium, zincs, all of those, manganese, we need them, not only for anti-inflammatories, but for relaxation of the muscles and to feed the bones. The more sugar somebody consumes, the worse osteoporosis.
Oh.
Because it tries to, and acidity, it tries to balance the pH. So what it
Oh,
does is it puts fluids and such out of the bones in order to balance the pH in the blood. The pH has to be a very, very small, 7.2 to 7.45. And above that or below that, you're in a serious situation. I don't remember exactly. Is it 7 to 7.4, 7.2 to 7.4? I don't remember the exact numbers. But very, very small range of, from average. Okay.
so we should cut down soft drink. We should cut down ice cream, desserts. Yeah, in order to get better health.
Much better health. Dr. Amy, here's the thing, which people probably don't realize. Every time they drink a pop, a cola or whatever it may be, and even these sweet tea drinks, green tea drinks, whatever they are, they're looking at getting 7 teaspoons of sugar. And let me say this, the diet pop is even worse. NutraSweet is one of the most toxic poisons known to man. And I won't go into how it got approved. It has over 100 different side effects. The NutraSweet, aspartame is what they call it. So, but think about this. Every time you drink a pop, you're doing about 7 teaspoons of sugar. 7 teaspoons. But they have in a liquid solution, Plus they have phosphoric acid in there, which is horrible for the bones and the joints. And so, I just can't imagine why anybody even drinks that. I mean, even drink coffee is much, much better. Green tea, black teas, pour, whatever it may be, and put honey in it. You get your sweet fix that way rather than taking 7 teaspoons of sugar, phosphoric acid, and caffeine in something like Coca-Cola. It's just what they ought to do with Coca-Cola and these guys, they should do what they do with cigarettes. They should put a warning on there. This could be hazardous to your health, and then show the pictures of how hazardous it can be with the bones just being eaten away. And even they've correlated to Alzheimer's, so especially at aspartame. And it's just now ice cream too. You can get great ice creams. You can get sorbets. There's coconut sorbet you can get here. Other types of sorbets, which don't have as much sugar. Really avoid the high fructose corn syrup. That's hell for diabetes and on the blood glucose levels. But you can get really good ice creams and not get the ones that are just full of junk. It's so high in just pure sugar.
All right. Okay. There's another question. Also regarding skin sensitivity. Okay, hi doctor. I'm the one with skin sensitive from young. Want to ask, I am taking steroid, antibiotic, anti-itchiness, anti-allergy, and many different medicines for years. I feel I'm getting weaker. Can I just stop the medicine and just take Cell H Plus?
One thing I say, Dr. Amy, to everybody, all my patients over the years, never stop a medicine cold turkey unless it's killing you. But what you really need to do is you need to see a good integrative medicine doctor who can put you on a program to slowly reduce each one of those. I won't get into all, you can look them up yourself. Go to a PDR, physician's desk reference, or just go on to, what's it called, whatever, I can't remember the name of it. But go on the internet and just do a search, side effects of this drug, and look at all those side effects. One time I had a patient who came in, was taking something like 30 or 40 different drugs. And we found out by eliminating one by one or researching them that drug was causing this side effects, that they give her another drug that caused side effects, they give her another drug. So she was basically treating side effects with all these drugs. I'm not saying this drugs can save lives, surgery, drugs, and doctors are brilliant geniuses in so many ways. And I think they're just not as capable of dealing with things like metabolic disorders and resolving those. I mean, back when I went to school, there was no nutrition medical school. I think we had a 1 hour class, so I went to naturopathic school and chiropractic and osteopathic. But it is such essential right there to know what's going on in nutrition. Maybe they're food allergies. You could have severe food allergies and have had since you were a kid, which is causing a lot of the skin problems. That's what happens first with kids, like from dairy products or even eggs sometimes, unfortunately, but I don't think it's the right kind of eggs, but especially wheat. You can have skin reactions as a food allergy, and now they're finding that, and so many more kids. I was just listening to a special with Robert Kennedy Jr. That's Robert Kennedy's son, John F. Kennedy's nephew. And he's exposing a lot of this, of how allergies in kids and people too have just escalated to the point where it's just unimaginable. And he's going, well, why is this? What is going on? He's got his reasons, which are probably valid. They're a little more extreme. But we've got to look at our immune system, modulating the immune system, lowering the inflammation. Wheat causes inflammation in the body. It's rancid. It's a free radical. And people live off of it. And it goes right into fat these days. You break down those carbs and they go right into a fat. So lipogenesis. You can look at people and cultures who, and I'm not being critical, but it's true. America's probably number one, 65% obesity. They live on wheat. Everything from pizza, spaghetti, bread, cakes, pies, you name it, they eat wheat. You'd be surprised at all the things wheat are in. And of course, sugar. So many of them are addicted to Coca-Colas, and they think Diet Pop's even better. But we look at President Trump. What is it? He drinks how many? An incredible number of Diet Pops a day. He's extremely overweight. Yeah, why? This Diet Pop isn't helping you, bro. Of course, he's not president much longer. That's another story. So anyway, that's kind of my feeling about it. You really need to find a good physician, and I know some here. One graduated from my university right here in town, but to get on a program, so you can start detoxing and start slowly weaning off the medication if your current doctor isn't going to help you. There's many organizations here in Malaysia. I helped start the what was it called? I haven't been involved because I stopped practicing. The Malaysian Alternative Medical Association, so I think is what it was called. Because I had a clinic with Dr. Ishik down in Malacca about 20 years ago. And they have so many great physicians with that group. Many of them are medical doctors, some are naturopaths. And so there's sources out there. You just have to explore it and find the right person for you. But whatever you do, you've got to study these drugs, and you'll see maybe some of even your symptoms you're having are a result of the drug. And rebuild that microbiome. That's why cell age is going to be so good for you. The antibiotics have really disrupted your whole digestive tract. You're having a hard time probably utilizing your nutrients. You probably could have imbalanced bowel movements, so many things, energy depletion, all of those. And this is a product that's meant for somebody like you, but you can't just stop and start another one. You're going to go through too many reactions, and you become dependent, your body has, on using those anti-inflammatories and such. So you've got to do it slowly. Take everything slow.
All right. So I think no more questions.
Okay.
But yeah, first of all, let's thank our Dr. Mark for his sharing. And also, if you have any further questions, please feel free to visit our Facebook or drop us your inquiry, or you can contact our working partner directly. We will come back to you as soon as possible. All right, Dr. Mark, later maybe our working partner will show you photos from one patient who has been suffering from skin rashes.
Were you sending them by email or what?
Let us discuss within our team. Then we will contact you.
Yeah, we need to discuss it because I'm not a licensed physician here in Malaysia, so I don't practice medicine and I can't prescribe. But I can give some recommendations of what I would suggest that person do. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Amy. You're wonderful as always. I appreciate it. It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Appreciate
your sharing too.
Good
Thank
night.
you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Good night.